56. 3. The WADIG looks like a primitive kind of primate, but he is an intelligent being. Normally he never wears clothes. This fact makes strong the idea some people believe that the WADIG is some kind of primitive missing link. We can continue talking about paraterrestrial, but it's not logical because we don't have necessary quantity of data for making good research. This is because we talked only about the X2, the Mook and the WADIG just for literal illustration of matter. 57. Great extraterrestrial code. EBs, aliens from third dimension, or from outside Earth. This information was recovered from IACXXX P14AB and IACXXX P14 in TAR, as well as other crash sites. Extraterrestrial wrongly designated ALFs, alien life forms. I said that because all other 5 types are ALFs also. All 6 types of aliens are ALFs. We have around 160 different species at our biosphere from several points in the universe. They are humanoids, human and not humans. We talk now about the other 5 alien races that stayed much longer than any other race and have much more influence during our history. 1. Type A, Regeline, Rigel, or Grey 2. Type B, 2 Reticuli, Z Reticuli 1, or Grey 3. Type C, 2 Reticuli, Z Reticuli 2, or Grey 4. Type D, Orion, Pleiades, or Nordic 5. Type E, Barnard Star, Orange the 1st EBE, IAC, XXXX, P14. SCEBE is the name or designation given to the live extraterrestrial alien captured at the 1947 Roswell, New Mexico crash. He died in captivity. Note: O.H. Krill was a joke created by John Ear and other friend for personal purposes. Nobody knows why Ear denies the KRLL existence. KRLL, KRLL or KRLL or CRLL or CRLL pronounced Krill or Krill was the hostage left with us at the first Apollo moon landing, has pledged that the aliens would carry out their part of the basic agreement reached during that meeting. KRLL gave us the foundation of the Yellow Book, which was completed by the alien guests at a later day. KRLL became sick and was nursed by Dr. Hugh Mendoza, who became the expert on alien biology, exobiology. His information was disseminated under the pseudonym O.H. Krill or Krill. KRLL became the Regalian ambassador to the United States. There have been rumors of KRLL's death. We don't know if they are true or not. Main lines, alternative lines. Note: taken from crystal storage device inside a crashed alien ship. The typical malevolent ALF as represented thus far can be described as follows: between 3 to 5 feet in height. Erect standing biped. Long thin legs. Small build, thin. Head larger than normal, to human proportions. Absence of auditory lobes, external ear lobes. Absence of body hair. Large, tear-shaped eyes, opaque black with vehicle-slit pupils, cat's eyes. Eyes slanted approximately 35 degrees. Small straight mouth, with thin lips. Arms resemble praying mantis. Normal attitude: arms reach to knee when extended. Long hands, with small palms. Claw-like fingers, too short. 2 long webbed fingers. Tough, gray skin, reptile-like in texture. Small feet with 4 small claw-like toes. Some organs are similar to humans but develop in a different evolutionary process. The most significant finding is that they have a non-functioning digestive system and 2 separate brains. The digestive system in those examined were atrophied, conforming to absence of provisions in recovered crash. This, however, is still just preliminary findings. Movement is deliberate, slow, precise. Secondary findings: after crash site study, alien subsistence requires that they must have human blood and other human biological substances to survive. In extreme circumstances they can subsist on other animal fluids. Food is converted to energy by chlorophyll through photosynthesis, and waste products are excreted through the skin, some kind of botanical life form. These creatures possess two separate brains separated by the midcranial lateral bone partition, anterior brain, posterior brain, with no apparent connection between the two. Ralph * furnished extensive information on the aliens and their history, which is known as the Yellow Book. Because the aliens have a tendency to UV, we can't be 100% sure about all the information inside the Yellow Book. Luna 1 is the Regelion base at the other side of the Moon, or the far side of the Moon like some scientists prefer to say. It was seen and filmed by the Apollo astronauts. The base, the mining operation using very large machines, and the very large alien crafts described in sighting reports as motherships exist there. WAVE, and this is the Regelion base in the Atlantic Ocean. The underwater alien base, mining and Big 61 cigar-shaped crafts. The Arch Allen Saga, the original contact between the government and the extraterrestrial biological entities EBs, who normally are gray in color and about 3.5 to 4.5 feet high and coming from the Rigel star system, hereafter referred to as the Greats, was achieved between 1947 and 1971. We knew that the Greats were instrumental in performing the mutilation of animals, as well as some humans, and that they were using the glandular substances derived from these materials for food absorbed through their skin, and to clone more Greats in their underground laboratories. The government insisted that the Greats provide them with a list that would be presented to the National Security Council. This list has never been completed. Through all this, the government thought that the Greats were basically tolerable creatures, although a bit distasteful. They presumed at the time that it was not unreasonable to assume that the public would and could get used to their presence. Between 1968 and 1969 the plan was formulated to make the public aware of their existence over the ensuing 20 years. This time period would culminate with a series of documentaries that would explain the history and intentions of the Greats. The Greats assured the government that the real purpose of the abductions was for monitoring of our civilization, and when they learned that the abductions were a lot more frequent and insidious than they were led to believe, the government became concerned. Their concern was also based on additional information regarding the purposes for abductions. By the time the government had found out the truth about the intentions of the Greats, the Greats, intended to stay here, where they always will stay, in control of Earth. It was too late. The government by mistake had already sold out humanity. Not that it would have made any difference, because they were here doing what they were doing anyway. In 1983, a story was outlined by the government sources that said that the Greats are responsible for our biological evolution through manipulation of the DNA of already evolving primates on this planet. They don't like to tell anybody that the real Regelians are Nordics, and they found survivors from one big catastrophe, the ancestral 7 races, the Uniterrestrials. Various time intervals of the DNA manipulation were specified for 25,000, 15,000, 5,000, and 2,500 years ago. Originally, the government thought that the Greats meant us no harm, but in 1982 to 1988 the picture that emerged was exactly the opposite. The story now is one great deception at several different levels. The Great Trojan Horse * style manipulation and lying, which involved MJ12/magic forces, from over 4 decades ago. Now it's 1990. the government still uses disinformation on the subject of UFOs in order to perpetrate the agreement with the Greys, free of public scrutiny, the lies to the abductees, the Greys. Ongoing abduction of people and mutilation of animals in order to harvest enzymes, blood, and other tissue for their own survival needs, and a genetic blend of the Grey race and a tall Nordic act to enable Grey interface with humans to be done with greater ease. The apparent reasoning for the Grey preoccupation with this is due to their lack of a formal digestive tract and the fact that they absorb nutrients and excrete waste directly through the skin. The substances that they acquire are mixed 62 with hydrogen peroxide and painted on their skin, allowing absorption of the required nutrients. It is construed from this that some weaponry against them might be geared in this direction. The inner core of the CIA is deeply controlled by the Greys. The CIA views interaction with the Greys as a path to greater scientific achievement. One reason for so many UFOs is that other cultures are watching with extreme interest. Scientists from other cultures arrive to watch. The Greys also are working with some groups of UFO fanatics, lying to them, and using them. The ultimate evil is masked and is of psychological complacency that leads one to adhere to a group philosophy rather than seek out one's own horizons. As soon as you acquire an awareness of being a so-called chosen special group *, you are on the road to a fall. That is the seed of destruction in any society and any culture, and it leaves it vulnerable. It will be the eventual undoing of the Greys as well. They see not their error, it is the very weakness they seize upon that is their own inherent weakness. To try and change a great, or a mistaken cult type of star person one following the great plan is futile. It will happen but fail in its own good time. It is the spirit that makes anyone stand up and disagree with something that is untrue and incorrect that will be the thorn in the side of the Greys, and other forces that have allied with them. Alien bases at Sol II perimeter. During the occupation of the Greys, they have established quite a number of underground bases all over the wood, especially in the United States. One such base, among other in the same state, is under Arculeta Mesa, which is about 2.5 miles northwest of Dulce, New Mexico. Details about that base come across by way of several different sources. This is a kilometer underground base beneath Arculeta Mesa and the Jicarilla Apache Indian Reservation since 1976, one of the areas of the U.S. hardest hit by mutilations. This installation is operated jointly as part of an ongoing program of cooperation between the U.S. government and EBS. There are also underground bases at Kirtland and Holloman Air Force bases, as well as scores of other bases around the world, including Bentwaters, England. Back to the base under discussion, Arculeta Mesa *. We have the following data on that base. The base is 2.5 miles northwest of Dulce, and almost overlooks the town. There is a level highway 36 feet wide going into the area. It is a government road, and one can see telemetry trailers and 5 sided buildings with a dome. Next to the dome, to the north, there is a launch site. There are turret ships there. One can see 36 feet long oxygen and hydrogen tanks near them. The ships that we got to, near the tanks, were atomic powered with plutonium pellets. Refueling of the plutonium is accomplished at Los Alamos. The base has been there since 1948. The base is 4,000 feet long and helicopters are going in and out of there all the time. In 1979, something happened and the base was temporarily closed. There was an argument over weapons and our people were chased out. The aliens killed 66 of our people and 44 people got away. One of the people who got away was in fact a CIA agent who, before leaving, made some notes, got some photos and videotapes, and went into hiding. He has been in hiding ever since, and every 6 months he contacts each of 5 people he talked copies 63 of the material with. His instructions were that if he missed for successive contacts, the people would do whatever they want with the materials. Somehow, the description of the Dulce papers were issued, and was received in December 1987 by many researchers. The Dulce papers were comprised of some 25 black and white photos, a videotape with no dialogue and a set of papers that included technical information regarding the jointly occupied U.S. and alien facility 1 kilometer beneath the Arculeta Mesa near Dulce, New Mexico. The facility still exists and is currently operational. It is believed that there are 4 additional facilities of the same type, one being located a few miles to the southeast of Groom Lake, Nevada. The general description of what these papers contain is that they contain documents that discuss copper and molybdenum, magnesium and potassium, but mostly papers about built copper, sheets of paper with charts and strange diagrams, papers that discuss ultraviolet light and gamma rays. These papers tell what the aliens seek, the secret of the metagene asterisk, and how the blood, taken from cattle and some humans, is used. They tell why some aliens seem to absorb molecules to eat by putting their hands in blood, sort of like a sponge, for nourishment. It's not just food they want. The DNA in cattle and humans is being altered. Why the type 1 asterisk creature is used as a lab animal, and how to change the atoms to create the temporary, almost human being. It is made with animal tissue and depends on a microcomputer to simulate memory, the memory the computer has withdrawn from another human being, creating some kind of clone. The almost human being or clone is a little slow and clumsy. Real humans are used for training, to experiment with and to breed with these almost humans asterisk. Some are kept in large tubes, and are kept alive in an amber-type liquid. Some humans are brainwashed and used to distort the truth. Certain male humans have a high sperm count and are kept alive for that reason. Their sperm is used to alter the DNA and create a non-gender being called type 2 asterisk. That sperm is grown in some way and altered again, put in wounds. They resemble ugly humans when growing but look normal when fully grown, which only takes a few months from fetus size, but they have a short lifespan, less than a year. Some female humans are used for breeding, and subsequently, countless women have had a sudden miscarriage after about 3 months into the pregnancy, and some never know they were pregnant. Others remember contact some way. The fetus is used to mix the DNA in types 1 and 2. The makeup in the fetus is taken at 3 months and grown elsewhere. That's what the Dulce papers talk about. Some of this information is covered in Volume 2 The Pulsar Project asterisk. There are some pen and ink reproductions of what one of the wombs look like, i.e. 2 by 4 feet. An illustration showing one of the tubes in which the almost humans asterisk are grown. A page showing a simple diagram of crystalline metal, pure gold crystal, and what looks like either a genetic or metallurgical diagram or chart, also attached as what looks like an X-ray diffraction 64 pattern and a diagram of hexagonal crystals, with a comment that they are best for electrical conduction. It would appear that the last half of the material in the papers applies to the supercrystalline metal used for hull structure, or something along that line. Obviously, this is rather bizarre from a certain point of view, any point of view. In fact, material that is supported by years of descriptions and multitudes of corroborations must mean something, especially when compared against what seems to be going on. It is apparent from this, and other data that has been accumulated over the years, that there are underground bases and tunnel complexes are all over the world, and that more are being constructed all the time. Many of you may recall the Shaver mysteries and inner city stories. Well, that is true. There are cities down there, amongst other things, and some of them have nothing to do with the main subject of this document. They've been under there a long time. Let's change direction for a moment. One individual by the name of Lieutenant has been working on some ideas regarding geomagnetic anomalies, which UFOs may use. We will go into what he has discovered, although the concept of the relationship is not new, and let you judge that for yourself. After purchasing aeromagnetic and gravitational anomaly maps for the United States Geological Survey, it became evident that there was indeed a valid connection between these areas and UFOs. Mr. Ten gave a lecture in Arizona about that relationship, and was harassed by the FBI, and told that the information was and is sensitive. Mr. Ten took the hint and declined to talk publicly about it to the degree that he had been doing. Both the aeromagnetic and gravitational Boucher gravity maps indicate basic field strength, as well as areas of high and low field strength. Interestingly enough, the areas of maximum and minimum field strength have the following. All of these areas have frequent UFO sightings. All are either in Indian reservations, government land, or government is trying to buy up the land. Many of them, especially where several are clustered together, are suspected base areas and /or areas where mutilations and abductions have historically taken place. In these observations, Mr. Terry has gone far, but he has gone a little further in noting that there are times when UFOs are seen in these areas. Through painstaking research, Mr. Terry found that the sightings, as well as many abductions and mutilations, occur when there is a new moon or within 2 days before a new moon. When there is a full moon or within 2 days before a full moon. At the perihelion when the moon is closest to Earth or within 2 days before the perihelion. A glance at the nearest farmer's almanac will give you the information you require as far as the days for this year or any other time. There seems to be no concrete explanation for the coincidence of the times and the events, but appear to be true. 65. Back to our main subject of this chapter of this document, talking about Great Interrogate bases. We have the principal bases: the United States of America, Earth Fairbanks, Alaska, Groom Lake, Nevada, Dulce, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Maine, New York, New Jersey, Wyoming, the Atlantic Ocean, Earth Wave Nuts, the Moon, Luna 1, Luna 2, OBS 1. No report for bases at Europe, Asia, Oceanic, Africa, Central and South America, OBS 2. No information about Nordic bases or any other aliens. Project Beta, the study of great psychology, the Regilines, either through evolvement or because the humanoid types are constructed, will exhibit tendencies for bad logic. They appear to have more frailties and psycho-weaknesses than the normal humans. The Regilines are not to be trusted. Because of the Regilines' apparent logic system, a key decision cannot be made without higher clearance. All are under control of what they can the keeper asterisk. Yet it would appear that even this is not the final authority. Delays as long as 12 to 15 hours can occur for a decision. Because of this apparent control, individual instantaneous decision-making by the Regilines is limited. If their plan goes even slightly out of balance or context, they become confused. Psychologically, their morale is near disintegration. There is a pronounced dissension in the ranks, even with the humanoids, because of their own internal vulnerability, mind-wise to each other, and additionally there is a basic lack of trust between them. 66. They appear to be totally death-oriented, and because of this, absolutely death-fear-oriented. This is a psychological advantage to us. The prime and weak areas discovered, probed, and tested are exactly what we had thought, their mind being their key strength, and that which they use to manipulate and control our minds. Manipulated in reverse. By using reverse psychology, we could make them face a situation where they would have a vulnerable integrated weakness we could use against them. Taxonomy of some extraterrestrial humanoids, working under the instructions of the humanoids for Rigel Grace. Type 1's one CIA and former Nazi scientists have developed and deployed malignant strains of bacteria and viruses, including AIDS, in order to exterminate undesirable elements of the human population. The Greats, especially the Type 1's, are almost entirely devoid of emotions, but can obtain the high asterisk by telepathically tuning in the different kinds of intense human emotions, such as ecstasy or agony. Does that explain why UFOs have always been seen in regions of war or devastation, where humans are in conflict? We have in the United States several offspring of alien and humans living together. This is part of a sociological experiment by our government throughout recorded history, as well as during prehistoric times. There has been constant genetic manipulation of interbreeding with uniterrestrial survivors trying to save his or her cosmic hereditarily, in order to breed out the less evolved and affected survivors. The Nordic races have participated in this form of new beginning, which makes us much more a part of them than we might suppose. Greys have the ability to camouflage themselves as tall blonde Nordics through mental energy projection. Blonde Nordics never project themselves as Greys. Some blondes seen with the Greys are physically real, but are prisoners of the Greys, who have either paralyzed them or have neutralized their ability to teleport through time and other dimensions. Both blonde Nordics and Greys have the ability to disintegrate matter into energy and then reintegrate the energy back into matter. This ability allows them to pass through walls and to transport abductees out of their cars with the doors still locked. The original Regilines were the Nordics until they were invaded by the Greys, the parasitic race, who took over and interbred with them against their will. Several blonde Nordics escaped from the great takeover of their system and came to Earth because the original Regiline and Uniterrestrials were the Nordics and claimed to be the ones who seeded the Earth. It is because of this common ancestry that terrestrial humanity is of such interest to both the Nordics and the Greys. Greys were and are easily able to impregnate terrestrial human females either on board their ship or while they sleep in their 67 homes. Males need not be manifested in visible form for this to occur. The conflict between the Nordics and the Greys is in the state of temporary truce, although the conflict between Regilines and the Sirius star system is being fought actively. The Nordics with speech abilities will respond violently if attacked or threatened, but the telepathic ones will respond peacefully. Nordics were sometimes mistaken for angels in earlier centuries. They do not seem to age, and consistently appear to be from 25 to 35 years of age. The Nordics now inhabit the Procyon star system. Greys type A's are the large-nosed Greys from the Rigel star. These Greys are ones with whom our government has a treaty. Data: the approximate height is 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall. Some approximately 5 feet. Their weight is approximately 40 pounds. To semi-rounded black eyes, without pupils. They are large, almond-shaped, elongated, sunken of deep set, far apart, slightly slanted, appearing oriental asterisk homunculus. The head, by human standards, is large when compared with the size of torso and limbs. No earlobes or protrusive flesh extending beyond apertures on each side of the head. Nose is long and vague. 2 nasal openings are indicated with only slight protuberance. Mouth is indicated as a small slit * without lips, opening into a small cavity mouth, which appears not to function as means of communication or an orifice for food ingestion. Neck described as being thin, and in some instances, not being visible because of garment on that section of the body. The head is hairless. The torso is small and thin. Normally they wear metallic but flexible garment. Arms are long and thin and reaching down to the knee section of the body. The hands have 4 fingers each, but no thumb. 2 fingers appear longer than the others on each hand. They have some kind of long fingernails. A slight webbing effect between each finger exists. Legs are short and thin. Their feet are like an orangutan's feet. They have no teeth. Their skin description is some kind of beige, tan brown, or tannish or pinkish gray color. The texture is scaly or rectilinear, and as stretchable, elastic or mobile over smooth muscle or skeletal tissue. No striated muscles. Light perspiration and very particular body odor. Under magnification, the tissue of skin structure appears to be a mesh, more like a grid network of horizontal perpendicular lines. They suggest that the texture may be similar to that of the granular skin lizards, such as the iguana and / or chameleon, and may be similar to at least one other type of alien humanoid. 68. No apparent reproductive organs, perhaps atrophied by evolutionary degeneration. No genitalia. The absence of sexual organs suggests a system of cloning reproduction may be prevalent. The aliens appear to be formed out of some sort of motif, or sharing identical facial characteristics. Colorless liquid prevalent in body, without red cells. No lymphocytes. Not a carrier of oxygen. No food or water intake is evident or known at this time. It is believed at present that no food may ever be required. No digestive system or GL tract. No intestinal or alimentary canal or rectal area described. Many variations of anatomy exist. Their lifespan is unknown at this time. Type B. Type Bs are the greys from Z reticulae 1. These greys are also ones with whom our government has a treaty. Data physiology more or less is very similar to that of the Regilion greys. They are male and female. The differences are they need food for survival. They prefer proteins of dairy meals. They have asexual form of reproduction. The Orlo * grow outside the female Z reticuity 1. The next page shows a sketch of a ZRED1 CULA1 alien. 70 ZRED1 CULA1 Type B. 71 Type C. Type C 1 and 2 are the greys from Z reticulae 2. These greys are alien researchers of us and our planet. ZREDI CULA2 Type C Data number sign 1 Physiology is like Z reticuli 1s. The differences are at the eyes. They have big black pupils. They have earlobes. The Type C number 1 greys have the same type of reproduction as the Z reticuli 1s. The mouth has small lips and a throat which they can speak from with verbal words. 70 to ZREDI CULA2 Type Ec Data number sign 2. The differences are the shape of the head. See the sketch above. The eyes and eyeball. The Type C number 2 greys have pointed earlobes. They are smaller than first type of Z reticuli 2s. Their reproduction is accomplished by an egg. 73 Nordics Type These are the Nordics. The Nordics are normally a blonde humanoid type. Data average height. Male, 2.0 meters. Female, 1.7 meters. Average weight. Male, 90 kilos. Female, 70 kilos. Body temperature, male, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, female, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, pulse/respiration, male, 72.5/16, female, 72.5/21, blood pressure, male, 120/80, female, 80/50, life expectancy, male, 60 Earth years, female, 23 Earth years. They come from several places, but the main places they come from are the Pleiades and Orion star system. Note: I have found some smaller Nordics with dark skin or dark hair. There is still not enough data about this offshoot. 74 oranges. Type E. Type Es are the oranges. The oranges are normally a red-haired humanoid type. They come from the Barnard stars. Data: average height, male, 1.7 meters, female, 2.0 meters, average weight, male, 70 kilos, female, 50 kilos, body temperature, male, 91 degrees Fahrenheit, female, 91 degrees Fahrenheit, pulse/respiration, male, 242/61, female, 242/61, blood pressure, male, 80/40, female, 80/40, OBS. They can use a beard sometimes. 75 alien technology. Alien crafts with dimensional factors and / or dimensional origin. To understand this concept, you have to realize we live in a universe made of 10 dimensions, 9 spatial and 1 temporal. On Earth, though, we just use 4 dimensions, 3 spatial and 1 temporal, because on Earth 6 dimensions are compacted at 1 abstract dimension. Following the theories of two physicists, Dr. John Schwartz, USA, and Dr. Michael Green, England, the particles of our atomic structure have the consistency of 10 dimensions. For the system to be established, after the Big Bang, the dimensions collapsed and created a compacted effect of the 6 other dimensions into 1 dimension. The aliens used this knowledge, which they call the NORDWAG factor, which increases one large field of acceleration or particles and recreates the new dimensional spaces. This means that the inside of the alien craft is much bigger than the outside. Size to the alien craft is in size and dimension. Some similar aspect effect over third dimension space and fourth dimension time to the 6 other dimensions. MULTIVERSE, multi-universe theory and not a single universe theory. Universe is a single part of the total of the MULTIVERSE. The U.S. government and open technology. Of course the aliens have given high technology to the government, but how do scientists, like myself, know the difference between a toy or a real sophisticated device if they never have seen one before? They give us primitive concepts in computer systems, microchips and integrated circuits, and we improve much more faster than they expect we can. After this, aliens have been much more careful about what toy asterisk they give us, because we have demonstrated that we can turn the toy asterisk into high technology in short order. The main interests of the U.S. government is to collect all possible alien information in science, especially new sources of energy technology, especially beam weaponry and tactical aircraft, medical, extend the life expectancy of humans, and total elimination of deadly infirmities. I.E. for elimination of the weak asterisk people from our society, and intelligence, especially in mind control. All of these objectives are still ongoing. 76. The implant for SBMCD multiband microreceptor/transmitter units. Auditory Social Security number. SIRS maintains a constant monitoring of wavelengths that extend into the ultrasonic frequency range, as well as being able to detect sound of only a few decibels in strength at short distances. Central Power Nucleus. Here is where energy is released to power the unit. This energy is generated by the decay of a small quantity of the radio active isotope strontium-90, and distributed to the entire unit through a unique, direct flow of charged electrons in a fluid nutrient base of a consistency similar to human hemoglobin. Self-destruction device will destroy totally the SBM-CD in case of anyone without access code frequency wave lengths trying to open this module. The variety of micro-circuited electromechanisms located beneath the central power nucleus aid circulation of the nutrients. Internal solution permitting the efficient transference of power, communications and data. W74V23 units enhanced internal/external visual sensors are designed to detect wavelengths of photons light ranging from the ultraviolet to the infrared portion of the spectrum. Neural stimulator. The device delivers a phased voltage beam directly into the nerve endings in the brain cortex. PHASED transducers on either side of main lobes oscillate several microvolts of direct current stimulation per second. Total control of the brain at the end. The unit's auxiliary data storage center maintains over 10,000 microsilicon wafers, each integrated directly to the micro-positronic simulated brain center, providing instant access to tens of billions of bytes worth of information on call. 77. The SBM-CD or implant. The Spherical Biological Monitoring and Control Device (SBM-CD) is a techno-organic enhanced synaptid processor powered by a micropositron flow that controls or mimics the functions of the human nervous system with microrelays duplicating the operations of brain engram patterns. Normally the grates during an abduction make an insertion of a 3 mm device SBM-CD through the nasal cavity into more close proximity to the brain of the abductee, and after implementing subliminal post-hypnotic suggestions that could compel the abductee to perform some specific act within the next 2 to 5 years. Normally the SBM-CD only can be removed when the abductee dies. Trying to remove it while the abductee is alive means certain death. Balance and the electromagnetic spectrum. After reading this document, there should be no question at all in your mind that there are intelligences that can manipulate or materialize any kind of object into our dimension. Let's take a look for a second at the electromagnetic spectrum. As you know, our visual spectrum only makes up a small portion of the whole. Look at what spectrums are involved with UFOs. Ultraviolet spectrum, blue spectrum UFO entry field, cyan spectrum, green spectrum UFO is visible, yellow spectrum UFO is in a vulnerable status, red spectrum, magenta spectrum, infrared spectrum UFO is departing, heat spectrum, UFO field radio spectrum. If you will relate this to cases that you are familiar with, as far as appearance, spectrum shift when in flight, etc., you will see the applicability of the above diagram. 78. Alt and artifacts of state mutilations. This biological scanner is used for field determination of general medical condition of life forms by sensing body emanations in emission groups of alpha, beta, gamma, Kerline, theta and Xi rays. OBS. Refer to files of Magic Medicine. Advanced Diagnoses Practices. Report for scale calibration and current interpretations of readings. Specification. Overall length 6.05 cm, maximum diameter 3.5 cm, weight 230 gr, sensitivity and voltage 0.0001, reading groups all alpha, beta, gamma, Kerline, theta, and Xi rays. E equals computer circuits housing, B equals activating control switch, C equals scanner housing number 48, mesh screen 79, D equals rotating scanner. E vertical line reading dial increase from bottom to top, F equals life form type. Select scale Q equals ground plane screen number 48 mesh screen H equals select range scale for different kinds of life forms. The biological scanner type 1 consists of two parts. Part number 1 is the scanner head, which you use to activate the device by rotating the scanner head, which is enclosed in a microchip mesh sensor network. This will activate the unit. Part number 2 is the main body, that interprets signals received and converts them into an audio readout, which is programmable by twisting the scanner head to the desired position. The scanner functions much as does a mini diagnostic center, by sensing the physical emanations of an individual or an organic being, which is in close proximity. The audio signals indicate either through its period or tone 1 of 10 vital readings: body temperature, blood pressure, pulse rate, respiration rate, basal metabolic rate, cell rate, lung capacity, heart activity, brain activity, homeostatic deviation. The scanner is intended for use with a single species, although it has limited diagnostic use on physiologically similar life forms. For visual readout, the scanner can't transmit signals to a bio-computer. The lights on the computer serve the same functions as the oscillating tones, and can be enhanced for a more detailed appraisal of the being if desired. Note: a regular physician must undergo extensive training before being able to read precise information out of the sounds emitted by the scanner, and there is no simple method allowing the layman to do the same. The spray applicator. The spray applicator is a small cylindrical dispenser of epidermal drugs employed by depressing the major axis of the unit between thumb and forefinger. Although it is capable of dispensing the variety of liquids, foams and gels, it is normally pressurized for field use with an inorganically based flesh-colored compound that acts as a coagulant to stop the flow of blood, as well as an antibiotic to protect against infections. A mild local anesthetic deadens pain in the affected area. The applicator contains about 5 to 10 doses, depending on the amount needed in field operations. The field reader tube. The reader tube is used when the low-powered scan is not effective to diagnose a patient's condition, like a species that may possess a thick epidermis. It transmits life readings from a censored head to 4 independently activated lights, which indicate through their intensity or period the following: green heart rate, red pulse rate, blue body temperature, yellow blood pressure. The pointed sensor end of the tube must be placed into direct contact with the patient's exposed skin. Due to the narrow reading range provided by the reader tube, it is suitable for any life form. Surgical scalpels. 6 scalpels are contained within the surgical kit, class ABR 5, with cutting widths varying from 1 to 5 angstrom units. Activated by gripping the cylindrical base, they employ converging laser beams for a very precise subcutaneous incision. Skin grafting lasers. The Type 1 low-powered laser is used to quickly and painlessly heal external wounds by closing severed blood vessels and nerve endings, while stimulating the victim's anabolism, constructive metabolism, i.e. regeneration of tissue. The Type 2 laser can also be used to graft skin, removed by scalpel from less sensitive parts of the body onto areas where tissue has been damaged or completely destroyed. This procedure should be followed, as it is really necessary. The laser is activated by depressing the dorsal bar. Increasing the pressure causes an increase in intensity. The blood attracting device. This device is an emitter of a force field, like some kind of tractor beam emitter that can focus a wave or particle beam. The device is set for locate hemoglobin cells and attract them through the skin, using the principle of gravitational electromagnetic focus contention. This device can also be used for repelling, or mutual repelling and attracting mode to seize and hold stationary, repel, or attract even large objects. The device can operate at a FA 180/360 degrees, allowing it to function at almost any angle. Because the beam has its limits, the wave particles are short-lived and will disintegrate into byproducts at longer range, i.e. in excess of 100 meters. 81 U.S. government secret technology. The helicopters themselves have been seen in areas where UFOs were reported, in many countries. In some of the more interesting accounts, the mystery helicopters were seen with UFOs or shortly after UFOs were sighted. In a documented mystery helicopter wave in England, accounts place Oriental-appearing occupants in an unidentified chopper. Slant-eyed, olive-skinned, Oriental-seeming occupants have been a staple at the heart and at the periphery of UFO accounts for years. Significant numbers of the infamous men in black, MIBs, have a similar appearance, but very often they are seen as very pale and gaunt men who are sensitive to light. In Stigmated * Northeast 5, Fall-Winter 1978, Tom Adams outlines the most prominent speculative explanations, accounting for the mutilation helicopter link, including the following possibilities. The helicopters are themselves UFOs, disguised to appear as terrestrial craft. The choppers originate from within the U.S. government military and are directly involved in conducting the actual mutilations. The helicopters are government military and are not involved in the mutilations but are investigating them. The helicopters are government military, and they know about the identity and the motives of the mutilators, and by their presence, they are trying to divert attention to the possibility of involvement by the military. Mystery helicopters and mutilations. Normally the mystery helicopters belongs to the Delta/NRO division. For a normal mutilation research mission, they send one helicopter with a team of 7 agents and 2 remote-piloted vehicles, RPVs. The RPVs are small devices of look-alike small saucers of 3 feet in diameter and radio-controlled. 82 surveillance devices, 3 feet in diameter, airborne remotely operated device. AROD. The RPV note: this vehicle was created by Aerojet Electrosystems in California. The RPVs also carry a surveillance robot airborne remotely operated device. AROD. A flying pizza with a tail, 3 feet across, carrying a high-tech video camera aboard. Also surveilling the surveillance device from above is a device known as a high-altitude, long-endurance drone, HALE. HALE is designed to reach altitudes up to 100,000 feet. The device is powered by microwaves from the main helicopter. 83. The HALE ADR/238F. The Teledyne Ryan Aeronautical Corporation is responsible for the mysterious helicopters, or *XH Sharks, as they refer to them. The Tropius 75 XH-75D. I believe the cover-up of the capacity of this helicopter is operating, which overrides the real and total capacities and capabilities of this helicopter. But the following is only what I've been able to learn, and may not be the total capacity and/or capabilities. Type rotor, advanced blade system, experimental research demonstrator. Engines: 1825 horsepower Pratt & Whitney engine, Canada J63A turbojet, turboshaft and to 3,000 pounds, 1361 kilograms Pratt & Whitney turbos. Dimensions: diameter of 3 blade, double main rotors are 36 feet, 1097 m. Length of the fuselage 40 feet. Performance: maximum speed level flight 276 miles per hour, 445 km/h. Rate of climb 5,000 feet/seconds. Some helicopters XH-75D type also have a gravitational electromagnetic projector to create a cocoon * around the helicopter as a disguise. a 360-degree global arc with a radius of 50 feet, more or less, provides a photonic force field. The black helicopter XH-75D type, when activated, turns into a UFO, as shown below, with no inertia and no acceleration effects. This provides 82% higher protection against attacks. When used during a normal mutilation research mission, the XH-75D type black helicopter carries a crew of 7 agents, 2 RPDs, and one Hail drone. 85 alien abductions. The monitor ***, abduction ***. In the 50s, the EBs, Grace, began taking large numbers of humans for experiments. By the 60s, the rate was speeded up and they began getting careless. By the 70s, their true colors were very obvious, but the special group of the U.S. government still kept covering up for them. By the 80s, the government realized that it was too late and there was no defense against the Grace. So programs, media, sign, TV, comics, commercials, books, magazines, cartoons, etc. were enacted to prepare the public for open contact with non-human alien beings. Now at the beginning of the 90s, 1991, these programs are continuing, and working well too. The Greys and the Rectoids are in league with each other, but their relationship is in a state of tension. The Greys only know the Nordics and the reptilian race as their enemy. Don't confuse the difference between the reptilian race and the Rectoids or reptiloids, because they are completely different races. We will talk more about the reptilian race later. Some forces in the government want the public to be aware of what is happening, while other forces, collaborators, want to continue making whatever deals necessary for an elite few to survive the coming conflicts. The future could bring a fascist new world order * or a transformation of human consciousness, awareness. The struggle is now, when any active assistance is needed. Prepare. We must preserve humanity on Earth. The case for alien abductions. Grey types and some Nordics are on the top of an alien force who are bent on abducting millions of people along our history against their will, subjecting them to intense medical probing and committing other invasive acts. These determined alien species are here, using Earth as a gigantic breeding ground. Their accumulated data shows that we're well past the phase where mythic or academic explanations alone will suffice. Up from the strange, chaotic depths of abduction lore packed into a growing research files and journals, the central theme is emerging. The bottom line evidence of certain aliens' methodical, ultra-intimate program with Earthlings refutes the cosmic altruism found in traditional contactee literature, and counters the New Age trend of unrealistic idealism that concentrates exclusively on benevolent, spiritual motivations of presumed visitations. Scientists are beginning work on the alien front. Even the term extraterrestrial * stretches the data far beyond its reasonable limits. This unknown agency exhibiting strictly cold and clinical attitudes toward human beings is unquestionably alien *. It's certainly been witnessed often enough in conjunction with UFOs or UFO occupants. But even lengthy witness accounts that go into great detail about this or that alien home planet or star cluster fail to factor out the elements of wishful thinking, deception and disinformation to the field of study. The 86 potential for misleading data attaches itself to abduction research as readily as memories of blindingly bright lights and missing time recur as acknowledgments of the experiment itself. The bottom line cannot be discerned beyond the facts at hand. Researchers admit to being stuck in the very earliest stages of divisiveness and confusion, more than anyone else. The abductees themselves have to feel the terrifying literal pain that comes from being at the mercy of an alien force whose bottom-line agenda largely ignores the fundamentals of human dignity and well-being. But the aliens do fully comprehend and seem to manipulate the requirements of organic reproductive creation. In this, they are much like us. We are dealing in a realm that overrides long-standing cultural habits of thought and behavior. All we have to work with are the reports that have been allowed to break through the rigid veil that hides UFO information. The bottom line is babies. Time after time, abductees recall the same sequence of events and observations, their mechanisms of conscious control softened under hypnosis. Many come in clean, that is, with little or no previous interest in UFOs and having never heard of or much less read the several books that are introducing the topic to the masses, Intruder and Communion. The proscribed order of abduction events reveals an industrial-sized operation with across-the-board demographics. People of all races, most ages and both sexes have had the experience. It's fairly obvious, the researchers maintain, the manufacture of hybrid babies dominates the alien agenda. It's very extremely structured. They may do 8 million different things, but they're really interested in one thing alone. The generic sequence of events as recorded and documented is as follows. Examination: egg harvesting or sperm sampling, baby presentations only for females, rare for males, machine examinations, media presentations of idyllic environments. The abduction sequence is not exact in every instance, but enough leading indicators must be present to qualify the case as one deserving further investigation. Capture: examination, conference, tour, otherworldly journey, theophany, the delivery of some sort of quasi-religious message or experience. Return: aftermath. 87. This hasn't happened in that many cases, but still deserves particular mention at the moment. A significant number of abductees tend to retain special, almost spiritual feelings about their experiences, even if they were treated roughly or hurt. Also, recent investigative efforts are hinting that various sources in the intelligence community exhibit an odd preoccupation with the religious angle. These sources claim they can furnish an inside track to greater levels of truth about the UFO phenomenon, and some investigators considered them trustworthy. They're inexplicable, fascinated with religious side of the things. For some nasty alien races religion means the better way of mass manipulation and psychologic/sociologic control that they can get, and it works very well. Researchers feel they are getting closer to having more definitive answers about abductions. The body of evidence that once emphasized matching details, light detection and the relative psychology of witnesses is giving way to one yardstick that never fails to command scientific respect. Similarities in form and content are important to know, but ultimate answers demand exterior evidence to bridge the gap between report and reality. After a close encounter of the second kind, we have documented the physical and chemical evidence such as soil samples and performed FUD analysis on these samples. The affected soil was packed in hard, desiccated chunks. To duplicate the effects, analysts had to heat normal soil at 800 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 hours. This is one kind of physical evidence. Body scars and other medical trauma left in the wake of alien examinations are perhaps the most incontrovertible evidence we found available. But other developments add more fully to the case for alien reality. One example is an examination of stained clothing retrieved from an abductee just after her experience. The clothing awaits spectrographic analysis. The results of this analysis can't tell us what kind of residual stains can appear. This again is additional physical evidence. If large numbers of doctors in conventional gynecological practice were to be exposed to abduction data, a whole new subspecialty would be inevitable. Many women abductees indicate that the aliens tampered with their reproductive organs, if not actually committing a form of technological rape. Some women abductees are plagued with stark memories of strange wispy-haired offspring whose presence sometimes evokes revulsion and the paradoxical feeling, "That's my child." Additionally, we have to talk about the disappearing pregnancies. Abductees as far removed from one another as Brazil to New Hampshire tell nearly identical stories of pregnancies that suddenly appear and disappear and, later, reveal memories of repeated meetings with small, not quite human infants they are asked to hold or touch. One theory holds that the aliens are attempting to learn by proxy the skills of nurturing to aid in the replenishment of their race. I think it's purely physiological. In some way we don't understand, the baby is aided and or helped by the physical touch. One of the abductees said she felt like a human battery charger. Elaborate rituals that present babies to parents and attempt to institute some sort of ongoing parent-to-child relationships have been documented, along with descriptions of high-tech nurseries and what looks like unusual incubation apparatuses. 88. The realm of UFOs is a place where paradox is the norm. It's assumed the aliens use technology that far outpaces what we have unearthed, yet some of their methods seem low-tech by comparison. According to some data collected about abductions, the aliens, like humans, have to confront the vertical line world of ER in their experiments. For many years, the world of E.R.R.O.R. appeared primarily as a crashed saucer, recovered pieces, and occupants. What we're finding in the abduction phenomenon is that the factor of error is quite different. What it boils down to now is someone vertical line sneezing out something, or an odd metallic object in one's body that no one can make heads nor tails or. Several people have in fact sneezed out objects which may be alien implants. So far most of the objects have been lost or thrown away, but a few implants were recovered, which will be discussed later in this document. The unfolding drama of abduction wouldn't be complete without a token note of Big Brother government paranoia. Even earthly high-tech includes sophisticated mind control techniques and the capabilities to project sights and sounds at a distance. Perhaps not probable, but it's possible that what most researchers consider an alien-orchestrated abduction sequence is actually a carefully scripted, electronically induced perception. That means big news to Earth. If certain areas of the human brain can be remotely stimulated, then it is possible to develop a technology that broadcasts over large territories, literally saturating the area with a flood of symbols. Such a device would be a major tool for social change. The buzz that human witnesses often hear could be produced by microwave radiation, known to be in the arsenals of government's darker programs. The mind control hypothesis could also explain the relative lack of physical evidence. Through only an irrational stretch of the imagination might link mind control techniques with what evidence has been documented, i.e. physical traces, unusual metal garments and scarring. Worth noting, however, is the fact that some researchers pursuing this trail of investigation have been summarily and sometimes harshly thrown off. Sporadic accounts of humans assisting with abductions had a chilling note. What we inevitably face, even with the growing evidence, is a mountain of unanswered questions. If and when the mainstream quits denying the presence of UFOs, a well-supported program of tactical research may ensue. Until then, abduction remains a mystery, and the abductees the outsiders whose physical and emotional well-being hinges on its solution. The data we have about abductions, as derived by conversations with the abductees, that during the abduction process all abductees were scanned with a very sensitive and powerful mental probe which retrieved all personal and private data: name, address, age, profession, psychological pattern, etc. from the abductees and was readily available to the aliens for their data bank. Just a few of these names and addresses go to our government per the Alien-Government Agreement. During the 89 process of abduction, the Directional Subliminal Mental Command kept away any other non-interesting witnesses around the area of the alien craft. After an abduction occurs, and if we can maintain synchronicity of finding the abductees within 12 to 24 hours after the abduction, really not an easy job, we recommend in the case of a female abduction a complete gynecological procedure common to abductions. In succeeding generations of family exposure to recurrent abductions, we are observing areas of the human body that are consistently and quite visibly affected. This evidence is related to the skin's dermatology and muscles' musculoskeletal system. During their experiences, many abductees and/or witnesses will feel a tingling, prickling, or static electric shock type of paresthesia sensation over the skin, followed by paralysis involving the musculoskeletal system of the entire body, with the exception of an abductee's heart and lungs where minor or no effects may be found. Scars. The body marks may remain permanently or become transitory in nature over a short duration, healing or disappearing altogether. In dealing with the skin we find the following evidence: a thin, straight, hairline cut, linear, and about 1 to 3 inches in length. A circular or scoop-like depression, about 1/8 to 3/4 of an inch in diameter and maybe as much as 1/4 of an inch deep. Rashes are seen on the body, most appearing on the upper thorax, chest area and lower extremities, thighs and legs. Many are geometrical in shape, triangular or circular. Other rashes, similar to chronic inflammations such as localized psoriasis, may be found on other body areas. First and second degree bumps have been sustained in a number of cases, and in some cases questionable tumors, lipomas, have been noticed just beneath the skin. The most common areas examined by the balance, other medically determined patterns of consistency are as follows: the nasal cavity, ears, eyes, genitalia, the umbilical navel region on females only. These areas appear to be the physical areas of greatest interest to the abducting aliens. Many abductees have described a thin probe with a tiny ball on its end being inserted into each nostril, usually on the right side. The abductees are able to hear a crushing type sound as the bone in this area is apparently being penetrated. We believe this is when they insert a device for tracking and 90 communicating with the abductee in the future is inserted. Many abductees will have nosebleeds following these examinations. As a precautionary note, we recommend that known or suspected abductees, who be parents, watch their children for any evidence of recurrent nosebleeds that can't be explained. I recommend immediately taking the child to a pediatrician to discover the nature of the nosebleeds. Diagram of female areas examined: needle marks on the roof * of the mouth implant upon examination by a doctor reveals evidence of bearing more children than the female is aware of. 91 needle marks in the back of the head implant, triangular rashes or bruises, unexplained gashes or slices /pp. Note: these are just a few of the locations, shapes, and types of marks left by an abduction. Many researchers believe that the alien technology is being used to insert an implant. We talk about implants in other parts of this document into this area for future tracking of the individual. It is interesting to know that many of the individuals subjected to nasal probing now have a future history of chronic sinusitis. Documented evidence has also shown that some abductees have been probed in their eyes and ears with a similar instrument. With eyes being involved, abductees may experience temporary blindness, blurred vision, swollen, watery and painful eyes, photophthalmia, acute conjunctivitis, red and irritated, inflamed eyes that is called *pink eye* in late terms. There's also some questionable history of these individuals developing cataracts. Scars have been observed on the calf, including just over the tibia, or shin bone, thigh, hip, shoulder, knee, spinal column and on the right sides of the back and forehead. Biological specimens, samples usually taken from abductees and/or witnesses. Evidence indicates that aliens have taken blood, oocytes ovid from females and spermatozoa from males, and tissue scrapings from their subjects' ears, eyes, noses, calves, thighs and hips. When abductees and/or witnesses are asleep or possibly under some form of alien anesthetic. There is also some circumstantial evidence to suggest that specimens might have been taken from the following: saliva, aqueous vitreous humeri fluids, cerebrospinal fluid, urine, stool, hair and nails. We feel that all abductees are given some type of preparation prior to their examinations. Some witnesses have reported receiving oral liquid medication, others an application of a liquid solution similar to a preoperative prep over various parts of their bodies. Some report the tranquilizing effect vertical line telepathically transmitted from the acting alien examiner, and/or application of an instrument to the head which renders deep relaxation or unconsciousness. Next we will outline what we think are the three stages of examinations which abductees are subjected to through some type of preoperative anesthesia. First stage. Preoperative abductees are subjected to some type of twilight sleep state, where they're in a definite trance for days. This twilight sleep state could be induced by several different things, from the liquid application over the body, a specific conscious suggestion by the aliens using some form of our hormones or enzymes to stimulate a neurochemical response, or some type of yet unknown technology. 93. One odd note, in connection with this stage, that prompts a lot of questions, is why is it that so few abductees remember removing their clothes? Because during the process of light sleep state they receive the subliminal command to erase the more traumatic moments of the abduction. Some commands are so strong that just a few of the abductees are able to remember clearly their experiences, even when placed under hypnosis to remember. Second stage. Procedures. Physical examinations take place, such as probing, insertion, exploration of the body, taking of biopsies, blood or skin samples. During this phase, the abductees may be semi-conscious as the procedures are carried out. Some actually experience pain. Despite objections, the aliens appear to be indifferent to their victims' pain and suffering. On the other hand, some abductees at this stage are given heavier sedation to quiet their fears and apprehension and do not recall any pain with these procedures. Third stage. Post-operative. Afterwards, the abductees and/or witnesses say their bodies feel sore or exhausted as if having been involved in strenuous activity. Some explain that it feels they've been tossed around or hit by a Mack truck *. This is similar to the known effects of curare, the drug originating in South America that induces therapeutic muscular paralysis. There are specific blood enzyme studies that it performed within 12 to 24 hours of exposure can be used to detect any abnormalities of muscular activity. Several documented physical traces of the abductee experience correlate fairly well with some of our recognized medical procedures. Most outstanding is one called laparoscopy *, which is a cylindrical, tube-like instrument with special optic attachments are placed through a female's umbilical navel region for exploration of female organs. With this particular instrument, a physician is able to observe all female organs to determine if any abnormalities are present, as well as obtain eggs from the ovaries. Most women abductees have felt they were being blown up inside, feeling tremendous pressures in the lower abdomen and discomfort in the vaginal area during the laparoscopy procedure. Approximately 2 liters of carbon dioxide is instilled into the abdominal cavity. This causes distension of the abdomen, thus allowing better visibility of female organs. A few women may have residual scarring from the long, needle-like instruments placed through the umbilical area. Pregnancy, in correlation with the laparoscopy procedure, is a new treatment for infertility called gamete interfallopian transfer gift, which treats infertility by placing sperm and oocytes directly into the infertile woman's fallopian tubes for in vivo fertilization. In contrast with in vitro fertilization, IVF gift facilitates natural physiological processes to achieve pregnancy. Male abductees report having a tube-like device attached to the penis which causes ejaculation for sperm sampling. This is highly uncomfortable to the individual. Most have said they sustained transitory 94 small lesions that disappeared shortly afterwards. Others claimed to have experienced direct sexual intercourse with an alien hybrid female, ostensibly for the purpose of sperm retrieval as well. A substantial amount of evidence has been accumulated that female abductees undergo gynecological insemination. These events have resulted in pregnancies, most documented by a positive pregnancy test by gynecologists. In cases of spotting of bleeding with these pregnancies, the physician normally performs a pelvic ultrasound scan ultrasound test to check pregnancy within the uterus to rule out a threatened miscarriage or missed abortion, failure of the pregnancy to grow. The test can detect a pregnancy as early as 5 weeks. Thus, pregnancy can be confirmed with 2 different gynecological tests. It should be noted that the government uses the abductees' normal doctors to collect most of above and following data, without the patient knowing anything, and in most cases the doctors knowing very little, and threatened that if they ever talk, they will have the licenses revoked permanently. In cases we have seen, this is followed up by a subsequent alien abduction, usually when the pregnancy is approximately 8 to 10 weeks along. During this time, there is a retrieval and or removal of the pregnancy by the aliens. The female may or may not experience spotting or bleeding during this time. What's baffling is how such a pregnancy can be removed intact, without causing death or injury to the extracted embryo by the aliens. In order for a particular to continue, several methods would have to be available immediately to sustain life in the extracted embryo. We suspect that some type of simulated intrauterine growth incubator is used to maintain the pregnancy, or perhaps an alien hybrid female is used, whose role is to act as a surrogate-type mother. Techniques for reimplanting the embryo are very difficult for our medical technologies of today. Several alternative combinations can be speculated with the artificial insemination of female abductees: A. Alien sperm plus female eggs, B. Male sperm plus female eggs. In this case the aliens choose a special type of male. C. Male hybrid sperm, combination of both A and B plus female eggs. Note: female human eggs are apparently needed in all cases. Hybridization. They claim that our blood is the proof of hybridization, and our own science tends to bear out their claim. We know that this group of aliens has a tendency to lie. Since this is a device * referred to above is of their invention, they are probably able to manipulate it just like Hollywood technicians manipulate equipment to produce the special effects or trick hologram photography. 95 Our genetic code i.e. under siege. In focusing on the gynecological and reproductive procedures that have been performed on abductees, we have to come to firmly believe there is some type of ongoing genetic manipulation that is occurring within various family generations. For purposes of clarification, it is essential for us to use some medical terminology to explain specific facts. The way to genetic manipulation lies within the deoxyribonucleic acid DNA molecules of the human gene cells. These genes control the reproduction and day-to-day functions of all cells. It has been estimated that there are probably 30,000 to 400,000 essential genes in the human cells, assembled in lengthy linear arrays that together with certain proteins form rod-shaped structures known as chromosomes. Chromosomes from certain individuals, through certain altering techniques, form a customary arrangement or vertical line standardized format known as karyotype. We believe it is the manipulations of the genetic codes on the karyotype of individual chromosomes that the aliens are researching, specifically looking for mutation patterns. Mutation patterns would allow them to rearrange the genetic coding on certain loci in genetic terminology, the specific site of a gene in a chromosome. In this manner, they would be able to experiment with a multitude of loci in the various chromosomes, thus bringing about new genotype individuals in preceding generations. Perhaps each succeeding generation of families is subjected to a different comparable type of experimentation by the aliens. It is interesting to note just where the residual scars are located on abductee bodies. Now I would like to pose a new interpretation of the evidence found in our ongoing research of abductees. Many scars are found over the shin bone tibia and the hip bone iliac crest, which are common areas for obtaining bone marrow samples and or aspirations. Simply speaking, bone marrow produces the red blood cells in our bodies, and it is significant, in our opinion, that it is through a human's bone marrow and blood that it is possible to study their individual chromosomal pattern. The timing of abductees' first experiences also correlates to the hypothesis. The marrow of essentially all the bones in the human skeletal structure produces red blood cells until a person is 5 to 6 years old. The marrow of the long bones, except for the proximal portions of the humor, upper arm bones and tibiae, becomes quite fatty and produces no more red blood cells after the age of 20. Beyond that age, most red blood cells are produced in the marrow of such areas as the vertebrae, spinal column and sternum, chest bone, ribs and hip bone, cilia, and as we get older, these bones become less productive. Most initial abduction experiences occur when the abductee is between the ages of 5 and 20 years old. Based on these observations, we are probably dealing with two very important phases of an abductee's life as it relates to this apparent alien exploitation. 96 Pre-adolescent/teenage phase. Initial blood samples, bone marrow aspirations and tissue samples are taken between ages 5 and 20 years of age. This would be the time frame for specific and early genetic studies on the chromosomes of abductees as a follow-up from another generation, with studies performed to see if a certain pattern is consistent within the particular family. During this time, some type of implants are inserted so that the individual can be followed and found at some future date, after further analysis of samples have been obtained by the alien researcher. Some of these individuals may be abducted again, possibly due to a failed implant or for reconfirmation on certain genetic information. Adult phase. The pattern we are seeing at the present seems to reveal abductees are undergoing some form of ongoing genetic exploitation. implementation or manipulation, such as genetic coding. This is where we see the most consistent, most documented procedures of the abduction phenomenon, such as artificial insemination techniques, which are continued on some abductees throughout their reproductive years. Perhaps in their own way. If you believe in the space brother * theory, the alien scientists are meticulously, methodically and clinically restructuring the human race through procedures of genetic manipulation, so that we will be designed better * for resolving our own problems, rather than requiring their more direct intervention into our petty world affairs. Maybe there is a double-blind study on the human race ongoing, for reasons known only to the aliens, who are running the program. Or consider the possibility of this being an alien scientific research mission, where studies are being performed on technologically less advanced planets. All of this is pure speculation and wide open to other theories or hypotheses. The new eugenics movement has recently sprung up in Southern California. Eugenics is the science dealing with improvement, by control of human mating, of the hereditary qualities of a race or breed. These issues that bear on the eugenics movement can be argued both pro and con. However, we feel that overall it is a very emotional issue with implications that could correlate with the alien agenda, and either certain problems that could very well rival our nation's controversial abortion decisions. 97. The techniques of selective breeding which seem to be utilized by the aliens are beginning to appear in our own culture. For example, Dr. Robert Graham, who founded an organization called Repository for Germinal Choice, has come under heavy attack by his adversaries. Essentially, Dr. Graham's program allows women to shop * in his repository sperm bank for a specific type of donor sperm that they can retain for later use in artificial insemination procedures. In other words, a woman could select the sperm of a Nobel Prize winner, an astrophysicist, or an extraordinary professional such as an astronaut, physician, or a mathematician, etc. It appears that this organization is out to create the new generation of super-intelligent children who will be eventually adults, through the techniques of selective artificial insemination. The socio-economic, political, psychological and theological implications of this controversial new technique, whether put to use by aliens or humans, go beyond the scope of this document. Exactly what are these implications, you might ask? Only time will tell. The metagene factor. The metagene is a biological variant lying dormant in select members of the human race, until an instant of extraordinary physical and emotional overstress activates it. That's an energochemical, in response to adverse stimuli. A chromosomal combustion takes place, as the metagene takes the source of biostress, be it chemical, radioactivity, or whatever, and turns the potential energoresponse into a catalyst for genetic change. The main focus of the catalyst power is a gland in the middle of the human brain called the pineal gland, and the nutrient for increasing the pineal's action is the adrenaline. The metagene factor gives the ability of psi-on-IC power. The main interest of the aliens, especially the Greats, is to understand and control the metagene for their own race. They try to do this using biological experiments to make hybrids from both humans and aliens. They believe perhaps the men from the planet Earth are the deadliest creatures in the universe, because only on Earth people are apparently capable of generating the metagene factor, which means natural flexibility, rate-powered *. The principal races in the universe are psychologically the same. The pure cold logic is a normal order to most important races. Basic sameness makes for predictability and security. The enemy one knows are the ones you can guard against. This is not the case with mankind. While most are uniformly human, some, many more, apparently, than anyone had dreamed, possess a latent tendency towards superhumanity, natural Schneck abilities. That in itself could prove dangerous for any idea of alien domination on Earth. But coupled of mankind's inherent belligerence with the fact of the metagene affects, each human is unique, and Earth becomes a spawning ground for the unpredictable super race. If we have the chance *, others have already demonstrated an awareness of man's potential along the human history, Nordics tree. This is because the aliens are here to try to control Earthlings before we dominate them, and they want our most important secret, the metagene factor, which is the aliens' only hope. 98 Abduction by Greys. There is a large number of Grey abductees living all over the world. Most are either unaware or just partially aware of their involvement with the aliens. Grey abductees seem to be taken for a large variety of reasons, some apparently having nothing to do with the person, him or herself. They might have been manipulated, to various degrees, for no other reason other than that they were with a person scheduled to be abducted. Others have been abducted apparently only once or very rarely, compared to throughout life. As with Nordic contactees, it would seem that genetics and artificial racial background plays a part in their selection processes. People have been abducted by Greys for a long time. This contact can exist during generations in the same family, and even cases of the abductee having contacts with same entity during the process of past lives. All this means that there may be a clear indication that a large percentage of the human race could very well be a sleeping army *, and were picked up only once or twice and implanted, but not generally bothered or contacted throughout their lives. This suggests that these people are on hold for something, or that they are simply walking transmitters of some kind of information, basically energo-to-Smith psycho waves, back to the aliens. Most Grey abductees are first taken as children, and many adult abductees know or feel their children are being abducted. It would seem that most children who appear to be involved don't want to consider the possibility of actual abduction or think about it at all. It would also seem that the best policy with most children is to leave it at that, not push them to remember. Hypnotic regression, especially, is considered too much to ask of a child. Even adults actually should not take lightly the decision to have themselves hypnotically regressed to recall abduction experiences. Children and adults alike, if they are involved, will tell you of their weird dreams and experiences even when they don't believe there is anything going on. Women are frequently abducted largely for reproduction purposes, through some never experience that kind of interaction. Some of those who are involved in that part of it report that their earthbound, human children that * live with the aliens have several different reactions to the situation. Some are perfectly happy with the program as it is. Many don't express any opinion about it at all because they don't see it as being anything they can do something about. Some are repulsed by the children and by their own involvement with them. Some have felt that the children we produce will be used against us. 99 Some of the weapons and aircraft training that abductees are involved in is actually done by the abductee for the sake of the unborn child. Training the mother has received is thought to be transferred psychically to the unborn child. Things along this line are part of what might inspire some abductees to fear their half-breed children. Others love their half-breed children as they would any others. Many who feel this way would like to recover their children and bring them back to Earth where they would have a better life than with the aliens. Many also feel that the children are better off where they are but would certainly like more open contact with them, more interaction with their children. Aspects of blow fluid differential. The biophysical field of the great entities is in opposition to the field of the human body. The reaction produced by the interface of the two fields can produce a sensation referred to as body terror * by abductively cerebral. The human may or may not experience this reaction, depending on their ability to develop a mental block to the reaction created by the field differential. On occasions, the same possible reaction with some Nordics is experienced. The field emitted by the Greys parallels the type of field emitted by much of their technology. The Greys use technology to amplify the effect of their biophysides on the humans. It allows them greater control over the ordinary humans, who may react to the field differential with the human emotion of fear. Using internally generated tones to interfere with some kinds of manipulations, anyone can produce high-pitched tones in his or her own head. It would render the manipulative technology inert. Just maintain the tone during the presence of the Greys and anyone is capable of arguing with them. Generation of the tone is an important part of the human defense programming against intruders. Awareness parameters for tone maintenance. Since the technology used to manipulate humans encourages relative paralysis of conscious functions, maintenance of tone interference or other mental techniques must be handled by a form of bridging, or cooperation between conscious and subconscious awareness. Effective use of counteracting techniques depends on an increasing awareness of both states. The subconscious areas are where all memories are preserved, and all experience there relative to abduction is subject to blocks placed there by both the abductee, as a programmed response to a function which the aliens have connected with the survival impulse for the aliens. Lucid dreaming indicates a closing of the gap between awareness of both mental areas. Being able to interact with the Greys, on their own turf, so to speak, is a threat to alien manipulation and control. Effects of multiple-level alien manipulation. The most interesting aspect of alien control and manipulation is that the technology they use allows the separate and distinct manipulation of both the gross and the finer densities that compromise the physicality of the human body. They have the ability to place a human on a table, put him or her into delta sleep, shock him or her with a static charge, separate his or her finer bodies, and manipulate 100 them at will. Manipulation of finer areas that involve the formative forces of the physical body have tremendous effects at the physical level. They also have the ability to withdraw experience and memory from a human and place that experience and memory into another body, or container, whether the container is a natural or synthetic one. Manipulations of these types have effects on the ability to have one's consciousness leave the body, emotional response patterns and programming, the ability to deal with psychic blocks, and a host of other parameters. To begin to counteract this, work must be done by the individual to work on expansion of awareness. Connections must be developed between the conscious self and the second self *, which may be the self that is projected astrally. After a while, the conscious maintenance of the connection begins to combine both conscious memories and memories which lie deeper. Work on self-hypnosis and regression techniques with a qualified individual. These techniques will aid in the process of developing more awareness and control. Constant experimentation while in alien presence must be done by the abductee, who must make an effort to note results of various mental manipulations on the alien control efforts. Some major indicators of alien interactions and possible hidden involvement: missing time, waking up during the night or in the morning with unusual bodily sensations, such as tingling, numbness, dizziness, heaviness, or paralysis. Any of these are often accompanied by disorientation, nightmares or vivid dreams of aliens and/or their technology. Sleep disorders, also waking up at a specific time. Physical marks or evidence or bodily manipulation. Repeated sightings of alien craft, clear remembrance of alien contact and interaction. healing or inexplicable improvement in your physical condition. Reactions of fear, anxiety or unusual bodily sensations upon viewing visual images of aliens or their technology. Feelings of having had a communication. Unexplained behavior totally inconsistent with previous patterns. Any or all of the above indicators may appear in combination with other ones. Many of the indicators could also signal a physical problem requiring medical attention. Clinical psychologists have reported that a significant number of people have been helped by their 101 interaction with alien species, mostly through alien physical manipulation that resolves a physical condition. Below conditioning of the hybrid fetus in a human host. The nature of the alien physiology is quite different from that of the human host. Through the autopsies that we have done on the greys, it has been found that the tissue is very often a composite that reflects a blending of animal and plant genetics. Some species have black tissues with green blood and appear to function on a light-based nutrient system. Many human hosts have reported mysterious infections, often yeast-like in nature. Through analysis of many cases, it has been pretty well established that the aliens often purposefully introduce systemic organisms into the human female in order to acclimate the hybrid fetus to the physiological environment of the alien life to come. These substances are thought to be microfungi and / or microviruses. The implantation of these substances is thought to be critical for some species in their hybrid breeding program. It is quite apparent that here is no concern for long-term effects of hybrid breeding on the human. They apparently make adjustments during the breeding cycle. These adjustments can include substances which physically wear down the human host, as well as manipulation of the various fields inherent with the human body. The question always seems to arise: if these aliens can produce synthetic tissue, why couldn't they just grow the torso or create a synthetic clone to bear the fetus for them? Why do they have to use humans for this process? There are two main parts to the answer. 1. The first one is that they need the genetic input. The whole reason for hybridization is to enrich the genetic capability of the organism. For this they need human genes. 2. The second part of the answer is that they need the effect on the fetus or human emotional and psychic experiences. The hybrid being will develop growing sentience. Unlike the synthetic, where the sentience does not extend past the physiologically determined by the matrix, the programming is set and must be exposed to these factors. One would then ask why they could not sit around and project psychic energy at a clone, using artificial ways. Of course, the answer is that the emotional component would be missing and the psychic energy not so pure. The hybrid fetus is extracted from the human most about 90 Earth days, and development then continues in a totally alien environment 102. The whole process causes premature deterioration of the human female host, which simply increases the vulnerability to alien manipulation due to a weakened condition. During the hybrid breeding process, the body of the human female host will be manipulated. There have been cases where fillings in teeth, which may contain mercury and other metals, have been taken out of the human's mouth in order to seemingly promote the health of the developing fetus. Abductions-related medical anomalies. An abductee made expert-length abnormal blood cells implants in the eye, skin, nose and / or anus. Diarrhea, mostly in men. Constipation, mostly in women. Shoulder pain that comes and goes. Lower back pain, 3 vertebrae up from the lower lumbar. Knee pain, in the dip of the knee under the kneecap. Constipation, mostly in women. Rashes, immediately after contact, may be caused by radiation. The lump in the dip of the collarbone at connection to neck may cause paralysis or semi-paralysis of arm or arms. Artery in the wrong place may indicate the arterial implant. Pregnancy connected with an abduction time period, Usually a small fetus, a baby, may have an unusual appearance. A child who is ESP and / or is advanced beyond his or her years, an eyelid, which may contract and roll outwards under stress. Eyes may be able to see through the closed eyelids. Visual marks on a body, scars or geometric forms visually present on the body. Scars on the back of the legs for people born in 1943 seems to indicate skin scraping, i.e., clothing. Hear a buzz, beat or modulated tones in their ears when going to sleep. When they feel a last breath feeling * may be just a side effect of an out-of-body experience. Shaking of the bed, in conjunction with the limbs of their body floating or rising. Geometric symbols seen in the mind. Tiredness in the morning after a good night's sleep. Feel as though you are worn out. Sleep. Learning out-of-body experiences. Sudden development of ESP. Right neck enzyme to the brain. New development. Extra vertebrae in the neck. Egg-sized lump on the bottom rib. Weights form a geometrical shape after examination. Appear to be from some instrument. 103. Inculcation devices and the practice of manipulation of the mind. The following material is copyrighted by Nevada Aerial Research Learning, Teaching and Assimilation Techniques of Electronic Space Societies through the experience of those who have had and are continuing to have various contacts with non-human entities. We have learned some data regarding these advanced societies. Overall, life appears to be rather regimented. Social codes are sufficiently advanced beyond those of the human being that they become a part of existence rather than the subject of existence. In electronic space societies of positive orientation, knowledge and data are generally assimilated under duress, in that training and education are accomplished by forceful means, such as implant technology. Techniques of electronic space societies. Inculcation, to teach or impress by force or frequent repetition, is the usual term used. One of the prime patterns of activity is what is called direct observation. During this process, face-to-face contact occurs between the alien species and a volunteer humanoid for the purpose of exchanging cultural information. Direct observation also appears to include various types of medical analysis. Abductees in this situation are actually volunteers, but inculcation methods block their knowing or awareness of their own participation. Of course, this is not the procedure of some alien races, who take abductees against their will, i.e. a grace. Direct observance operational procedures are as follows. The human target is sensed. The human's response system is examined and checked. The craft is allowed to appear to the human, releasing old implant blocks. The subject is monitored and picked up when appropriate. Sometimes the targeted human being will be picked up in childhood and taken to an underground facility for crystal implantation. They will be monitored through the growth period. In young adulthood, the human is picked up, and the crystals are removed and the human is kind of placed in reserve * for future triggering and employment. The Andreessen affair is an excellent case which features these elements. 100. For inculcation devices. Several kinds of devices have been noted by those who have had contact with various alien species. Inculcation bar. A rectangular box of metal with multicolored lights displaying a sequence of blue, green, red, green, blue, and a numerical sequence of 1 2 3 4 5 4 3 2 1. The subject lies on his/her back, on a metal table directly beneath the bar. At the foot of the table, level with the surface, in a metal console box with cables connecting to the table. The attendants are dressed in red jumpsuits and the room itself is bathed in red light, except when inculcation therapy is in progress. The inculcation monitor. This monitor, when coupled with the data banks in the ship's computers, can be used to implement the enhancement of a being by infusing abilities through implantation of data. During this process, It appears as if negative mental states are removed and mental barriers are set aside. The monitor is a modulated catecholon encoded laser beam, which pierces the eyeball of the subject in a Earth nanosecond 1/1000th of a second. It resonates down compatible optic frequencies, which sets up harmonic vibrations which disseminate the encoding to the proper receptor sites. Catecholon beta-alpha-trophin 4753 is a technical name for a substance often given to the abductees. It has the effect of removing certain body neuronal blocks and at the same time gives a boost to the awareness/intelligence level of the abductee. It is a mixture and distillation of slightly encapsulinic melanocyte stimulating adrenocorticotropic hormone in a neural metastasizing neurotransmitting medium, i.e., the cerebral cortex rotoruler *I1 method. 1 does a helmet bearing wires, old Zatritical I2 technology, almost obsolete, and needles. The crystal cube is put into a niche on top and a type of strobe light flashes in resonance with the brain waves of the abductee. The abductee's head becomes filled with pictures which gradually form a pattern of responses. The abductee is given a learned motion, pattern, response system, and may be trained in a brief amount of time to do a complicated task. Sometimes the abductee is hypnotized or made to sleep, and high-frequency microwave emission is used as a rapid inculcation method. Rapid inculcation processes an ocular wave with which to send encoded data into his or her nerve/ridge response system. This data may be triggered later by a pre-arranged stimulus response signal that will be present in the environment of the abductee. 105 Sometimes the bioenergetic field itself is used as a carrier wave and the data is encoded in sound code symbols. The great hybrids, brigadianes and beta boil stands have an interesting variation on which the abductee sits in front of a screen and computer console type and interacts with images on the holographic display. Notes: 1. The ridge response system equals a series of energy focal points formed by the energy streams around the physical body. Ridges can impinge on each other and cause an enduring state. Ridges exist in suspension around the human and are the foundation upon which facsimiles are built. 2. Facsimile equals a facsimile is a recording of all perceptions, effort, thought, and emotion experienced by the organism during any one point in time. It is recorded by the reactive mind. A facsimile can also be considered the physical universe's impression on thought, specifically that section of thought which has a physical universe impression with a time tag on it. 3. Reactive mind equals a reactive mind are portions of the mind which works on a stimulus response, which is not under conscious control and which exerts force and the power of command over the being's awareness, purposes, thoughts, body and LTOCs. The reactive mind never stops operating. What is thought to be unconsciousness is always 21st century powered biotech. We are leaving the era of expendable resources, like oil-based products. The power of the future is renewable resources like biologically engineered products. The Dulce genetic research was originally funded under the cloak of black budget * secrecy, billions of dollars. 106 They were interested in intelligent disposable biology, humanoids to do the dangerous atomic, plutonium propulsors and saucer experiments. They cloned their own little humanoids, via a process perfected in the Biogenetic Research Center of the World, Los Alamos. Now they have their disposable slave race. Like the great sea bees, the U.S. government clandestinely impregnate human females, then removed the hybrid fetuses, also after about 90 days, like the aliens. For more details about how the government does their abductions, See Volume 2 of this document, called the Pulsar Project, ADR 25A, code, Aramis Vs. ADR 324 at then accelerate their growth in the lab. Biogenetic DNA manipulation programming is instilled. They are implanted and controlled at a distance through regular RF radio frequency transmissions. Many humans are also being implanted with brain transceivers. These act as a telepathic channels and telemetric brain manipulation devices. The network, NET, was set up by DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Two of the procedures were RHIC radio hypnotic intracerebral control and EDOM, electronic dissolution of memory. The brain transceiver is inserted into the head through the nose. They learned this from the Grace. These devices are used in the Soviet Union and the United States, as well as Sweden. The Swedish Prime Minister Palme gave the National Swedish Police Board the right in 1973 to insert brain transmitters into the heads of human beings covertly. They also developed ALF and EM wave propagation equipment, rays which affect the nerves and can cause nausea, fatigue, irritability, even death. This is essentially the same as Richard Shaver's cavern TIA mechanism. This research into biodynamic relationships within organisms, biological plasma, has already produced a ray that can change the genetic structure, heal, or even kill. Shaver's cavern bent mech * could heal. Warning: manipulation and control, fear, fraud, and favor greater than the Pentagon, the CIA, NSA, FBI, NSC, etc. seek to capitalize on the beliefs of the American public. The secret government is getting ready to stage a contact landing with aliens in the very near future. This way they can control the release of alien-related propaganda. We will be told of an interstellar conflict, but what looks real may be fake. What is disinformation? Is your attention being diverted by the strategy of a shadow plan? I believe you already know the answer. Berkeley, Lotta Lamas Labs chosen to explore makeup of human genome. 1 Appendix. The acronym definitions: AC Alien Craft NSA National Security Agency IAC Identified Alien Craft NSC National Security Council INAC Identified Number of Alien Craft DIA Defense Intelligence Agency ACL Alien Craft Landing CIA Central Intelligence Agency ACRL Auden Crash Landing FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation CRL Crash Landing UFO Unidentified Flying Object AD Auden Defense Research Art and Agents Agency ACL Alien Craft Landing CIA Central Intelligence Agency ACRL Auden Crash Landing FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation CRL Crash Landing UFO Unidentified Flying Object AD Auden Defense Research Art and Decibels. The Research and Development Board ONR The Office of Naval Research AFR The Air Force Research and Development CIAOSI CIA Office of Scientific Intelligence NSAOSI NSA Office of Scientific Intelligence Map References 65 ATN 6 Map Tract Number 6 Location on Map Coordinates 65 by AA1